Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to be talking about rebalancing. I am very excited to be talking on this topic because it is something that we're all currently living through. With the pandemic, I don't think there's a single person who can say they're not having to look at their lives, reevaluate and see which areas they need to change for things to flow better, because everything just seems to be disrupted at this time. So as I was thinking on this topic, I really thought, can we say that the lives that we live are a result of our expectations? We all like to think that we live the lives that we are living because we have high expectations. We set high goals for ourselves, and because we're just high-minded people, we made it happen. Our expectations were high, so we made it happen. But that is not actually the case. And I'm currently reading the book Atomic Habits. If you haven't already read that book, please read this book, because it outlines this principle in a way that I had never thought of before. That a lot of people have high expectations, but what separates the people who actually achieve the things they have set out to do and the things and the people who don't? And in that book, the author says it is because of of our habits. I am going to talk from the perspective of what actually happens in our lives versus what our expectations are. Most of the time, it is not aligned. We live our lives on the basis of what do we expect and what is actually happening. And when what we expect and what is actually happening are aligned, there is bliss. But when the two are not aligned, there is a whole lot of stress. And we think, okay, what is happening? What's the matter? And it just leads to a whole lot of discontent. So what can we do about this? We have set our expectations. The basis of this video, really, what I want to really outline is our expectations have been set. But when what is actually happening does not look as if it will lead us to what we expect, what do we do? Most of the time, people lower their expectations. This is not a video about lowering your expectations or changing your expectations, which is what people do. They change and they think, okay, I'm not going to do this. This video is about when you have set your expectations and what is happening in your reality does not look as if it is going to help you meet your expectations. What are you going to do? And using myself as an example, because I am currently going through this process of trying to sit professional exams in the pandemic. And when you have a plan in place and you think, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be studying at this time and everything's gonna work and I'm gonna put in the hours, and come exam time, I have given myself a shot of making it happen. And the pandemic happens, schools close, and the children are now with you at home, and you're having to work, homeschool, and study. What do? My expectations are still the same. I still expect to sit my exams and pass. What I am trying to get you to understand is a lot of us would just decide that I am not going to sit the exams. The situation just does not allow it. Maybe I should just stop. Maybe I should just give up. This is not what this video is about. It is not for people trying to give up. We live our lives, all of us, by taking the path of least resistance. That is just how we plan our things. Nobody plans things in such a way to make things difficult for themselves. We plan to use the path of least resistance. But what happens when that path of least resistance is no longer a viable path? What happens when you can no longer use that route which you thought you were gonna use? That is when the rebalancing has to come into place. So I can say that I have been a person who naturally goes to bed late, who studies late into the night, and wake up a little bit later. I only wake up, I only used to wake up early because of work, but my natural rhythm was I will study late into the night, and that used to work perfectly well for me. Well, it worked before the pandemic. But because of that, that was my natural path of least resistance. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody operates on that basis. But when that needs to be adapted into something else, it takes a lot more effort, a lot more will for you to choose an alternative path. And for me, what that has meant is I now wake up early for me to study because I still have a lot of energy. I haven't used up all of my energy trying to work, deal with the children, and just everything else. And then at the end of the day, think, okay, I have energy to study. No, I don't. So the path that I have had to take in this season is to wake up early. So I hope you get the encouragement to say, we all choose the path of least resistance for us to achieve our goals. You know, even if it is a difficult thing for us to do, we plan in such a way that things work seamlessly according to a certain plan that naturally fits how we are. But sometimes that path is not always possible. And that is when people change their expectations. But I want to encourage you that don't change your expectations just because the path of least resistance, which you had set out for yourself, which you could see for yourself that this is the path, just because that needs to be changed does not mean the expectation has to be changed. So assess for yourself what is actually happening in your life. If it doesn't lead you to your expectation anymore, how can you change what you're actually doing for you to still achieve your expected result? It is not going to be easy, and the reason it is not easy is because it is not a natural fit to you. You are having to change yourself. You're having to adapt into something which you wouldn't naturally do. You might have to wake up early when you're a person who used to work into the night. That is a major shift. I don't know what your actual looks like. It might be that you thought you were going to get into a certain course for you to do something, and maybe, actually, to use the example of medical school, maybe you thought you were going to go into medical school directly. That was your expected result, and maybe you didn't get the grades at this time for that to happen. Well, what can you change on the actual? The actual might be, instead of you going directly, you now have to go the longer route. You might have to do an undergraduate degree in biomedical sciences and then get into medical school as a postgrad. That is the reality of your actual. But if you don't get into medical school first time around and you decide, you know what, I don't want to be a doctor anymore. You have changed your expectations. It's either you have no desire to be a doctor anymore, but if you actually do and you decide I am not going to go for it, you have lowered your expectations. And this video is not about lowering your expectations. It is about assessing what you can do on the actual side for you to still achieve your expected. It may not be your natural path of least resistance, but you can assess, rebalance some things so that you get the result that you want. I hope you found this video to be encouraging, because it was really encouraging for me to think about, because as I said, it is something that I am currently having to do in my own life. And if this video has been helpful to you, please share it with somebody, share it with a friend. You know, we all need to assess what we're doing for us to achieve our expected results. I have really enjoyed making this, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. But until then, it's bye for now.